Everyone ready? Ask her if she's ready. If she's okay, we're going to get started. Welcome to the Lancaster City Council. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Council Member, Agency Director, Authority Member Molly.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Underwood Jacobs.
Present.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chairman Christ.
Present.
Mayor Chairman Paris. We have a quorum.
I want to make a motion to excuse Mayor Paris.
Second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. The invocation by Pastor John Metters.
I'm not Pastor John, but I got an email saying today I was supposed to be here.
Okay, you're up.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Pastor Robert Enos of Greater Works Christian Church here in Lancaster. Father God, I thank you and I praise you for what you are doing here in Lancaster and right here in this room. I thank you for these diligent men and women that serve our community, serve you, and serve the people of Lancaster. Bless each and every one of them and bless Lancaster. I pray for wisdom from heaven that would to fill this room, that everyone speaking and everyone pushing and doing something would do it first for your glory and for the betterment of our city. That, Lord, everything that happens here would be so that Lancaster can look more and more like heaven. I praise you for all that you are doing, and I again ask blessing upon blessing for our city council, and everyone here, Lord. Touch and bless and move in powerful ways that we couldn't say other than it's heaven, it's God. So I thank you again, and I praise you for what you are doing and what you are accomplishing here. And Lord, I want to say thank you because I'm part of the best city on the planet. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. That was really good.
Yeah, like
We need to have him back more often.
I'll be back.
Brennan, come on up. He's going to do the pledge for us. Brennan, would you lead us, please? Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Brennan Long. I'm a part of the Boy Scout troop of Troop 614, and I'll be leading you in the Pledge of Allegiance today. All those in uniform, please salute. All those not in uniform, put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brennan. Angela, you have a presentation for us?
Why, yes, I do. 1 second. Mr. Wyatt Kenneth Coleman, would you please come down?
I like that name.
Hello, thank you so very much for being here this evening. Just recently, over the MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, we had the opportunity to see some of the most beautiful, stunning pictures that you have created. What touched me the most is that you took a moment in time and you froze it for all of us who were not there to be a part and to partake. However, through your vision and through your photos, you keep Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream alive. So thank you so very much on behalf of the City of Lancaster, the Council, and the Mayor. We appreciate all that you do. Please accept this on our behalf.
Oh, thank you.
So
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
would you care to tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
I'm very shy, but I'll try. I'm a photographer. Thank you again for inviting us to show some of our work. And for this is wonderful. I wasn't expecting it. But I've been a photographer since I was like 17. I went in the military and went through their photographic schools. And then after I used the GI Bill and went to University of Minnesota. I've been fortunate to work for some major publications and build relationships with folks. And I ran into a lot of people who could not afford photographers. So I donate my work to those kinds of publications. And photography has just become a passion for me, has been for many years. And I try to show some celebrities who have money to make life a little better for people. But there are also a lot of people who have no money and they give of themselves. And I try to show those folk and try to make communities better. Here in Lancaster, we have a community garden. We do that in a small way there. Everybody pitches in and works together. Well, in the larger community, it's kind of the same thing. You know, people try to make life better for those. It's just people striving to make a difference. And those are the kind of people that I want to show. So that's pretty much my work. It's been my life's work. My wife, Linda, is here tonight. She is my chief financial officer. So she donates, she donates to buy digital cards, and before that it was film. But she did all that for me, and I appreciate that. So thank you again for inviting us, and I love showing the work. I am a resident of Lancaster, and I really appreciate that. We've been a lot of places, but this is home, so it means a lot.
Welcome
Thank
home.
You. Thank you for this.
Wyatt, I understand that you're going to have an opportunity to show your work at MOA, if Mr. Mann's correct, that he's working on getting that done. We all had the opportunity to see you at Martin Luther King Day and was very, very impressed with the work you've done.
Well, thank you. I try hard, and that means a lot, you know, and I'm not too sure about, you know, the showing that he's talking about, but I just show up and do what I'm told. So it'd be my pleasure.
Okay.
So I have to take this opportunity. My son happens to be the chairman, and he's still my son. So we'll wield a little influence on him. So
You got
make
influence.
sure
I got it.
You got it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I don't think his son takes that influence.
Well, I will say again, you know, it's my pleasure to live in Lancaster and to be able to show the work here, and I appreciate that.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dave. We have Dave Mayshore from our community gardens. He's going to make a presentation. Dave, do you need someone from the city council down there or just Mr. Bozigian?
Maybe yourself could sit in for the mayor, if that's possible, or somebody
I
else.
can send Angela
Okay, that would
down
be
there.
great.
This is her
That would be great.
gig today.
Okay, come on down, Angela.
Can you
And she's much better looking, too, than Marvin.
We just,
I can't.
Mr. Bozigian. And just, we want to say, first off, thank you to the city council, each of you, the city manager. The Elm Avenue Community Garden is the first community garden in the Antelope Valley. It's right down here near downtown Lancaster. We've had the support of the city council, the mayor, the city manager. You've all been there multiple times. It's a place of beauty. This year was a milestone. There has been, every year there are thousands of man-hours donated. People just spending time to beautify our community, to produce fresh, organic, in-season produce for low income and seniors and all people in our community. So it's a really beautiful thing. Every single thing there has been volunteered or donated. And this last year, it has totaled, if you put $10 an hour on the labor that was spent and all the organic produce, it's just under $1 million in the last 6 years has been donated. No money, no cash, just in man hours. And we have everything from an earth and wood-fired pizza oven there to drinking fountains, at-risk youth. Just tons of people spend time there. So, on behalf of all the members of the Elm Avenue Community Garden, thank you, Mr. City Manager, for your help and support. We really greatly appreciate it. Yes. Ms. Jacobs, we have Mayor Paris's name on here, so clearly we need one that's for the entire City Council, including yourself and each of you. And we just are so thankful and appreciative. This is a labor of love for all of us, and we're just very appreciative. So thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity.
Dave, thank you.
Okay.
Did you get it?
I never get my picture.
3, 1, 2, and 3.
Go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, City Council members. It's my pleasure. I've sent an email out to you, but it's my pleasure to introduce our new Development Services Director, Jeff Hogan, who comes to us from Santa Clarita after 20 years at Santa Clarita. He's got a great record of accomplishment on complex projects, comes with impeccable references, and he's going to be a great addition to the team. As some of you may recall, Robert Neal was our previous Development Services Director. We didn't just settle. We had a couple of recruitments. We wanted to get the right person, and we did find the right person for this. I'd also like to thank, during that interim year, Jason Cottle, who was the interim Development Services Director, and Brian Ludicky and Carlisle Workman for providing leadership and really stepping up. But we welcome Jeff, and please give him a hand. I don't know if you want to put him on the spot or not.
Yeah, I think we ought to.
Yeah, speech.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
That's good? All right. No, thank you very much, staff. Everyone's been very welcoming. This is a great city. Going through the process and doing my research, this city definitely has something special, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I look forward to working hard and smart for you and become a huge asset and resource for this community. So I look forward to it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bozian, any items to be removed?
No, sir.
Okay, council minutes. I have a speaker card on the council minutes. Maria?
Hello. I'm here speaking on the council minutes because I was going to be here last week, or the last meeting that we had, but I ended up in the hospital because I had bad chest pain that evening. So, but my what I'm interested in is the fact that on CC4 and CC8 that you had the week before, or the 2 weeks before that, which was on the business licensing. The reason that I think it's a very important issue, and I would like for that to maybe come back to the floor so that we can have like a public hearing or something on that. There's a lot of issues involved with that I think that need to be addressed and need to be looked at. And it's not only for the restoration of our physical and spiritual well-being, but to the ultimate survival of our existence on this planet. It is imperative that these issues be reexamined if we are to regain our ability to openly and effectively stop these things that are involved in some of the business licensing and the things that are involved in, that can be involved in that, which are criminal, a lot of criminal activity. I think we need to stop this horrific, deplorable disrespectful, thoughtful, and sinful, malicious behavior from continuing another moment longer. I think it's a matter of emergency. And what I want to know is how can, I know, everybody's coming up here talking about how nice and great the city is and everything. And believe me, I grew up here, and I love the city too. I mean, I grew up here my whole life. I just don't like the things that I've seen lately, the things that have been going on. And I want to know how you can come here week after week and month after month, year after year, knowing that your job and your actions and your words and your decisions affect the lives and the quality of well-being and happiness of so many people. Good people, deserving people, loving people, people whose lives have been completely destroyed because of jealousy, greed, ego, selfishness, disrespect, or unconcern for people that at one time lived happily and enjoyed life, who had meaningful and respectful jobs and accomplishments that they could be proud of, homes that they could feel safe and secure in, family and friends that they could share their life and laughter, not tears with, churches whose only agenda was to teach and speak the word and love of God and to bring people closer together by sharing the love and life and the experiences and teachings of Jesus Christ. Elders who are respected and cared for, not abused, neglected, or abandoned.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. You got about 25 other cards in, so you can speak then.
Well, I know, but
Okay.
can you give me any answer on whether or not we can have the business license issue come back up, please?
It's been done. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the consent calendar. On the consent calendar, I'm going to pull.
Don't we need to take a
We
vote
need to
on-
move on the minutes.
Yeah, I'll make
We
a
did make
motion to
action on
accept the minutes as comprised.
I'll second.
Let's vote. Minutes passed unanimously with Mayor Paris absent. Okay, now we'll move on to the consent calendar. We're going to pull CC6, CC7, CC8, and CC9 for discussion. Maria, CC7.
CC7, I'm just going to speak on briefly, and then I'm going to go back to finishing what I was saying. Well, it's another thing with business license anyway, because all I can say about that right now is it's the KB home area, right? And I have a real problem with the KB homes. I mean, KB homes were the worst. I mean, they had a thing for being the worst built homes ever. They had so many problems. People lost their homes because of it, had to walk away from their homes because of how bad the homes were. And we're paying for...
Maria, you are talking about you had us pull CC7
Yeah.
for the talk in regard to the bike path improvements on K8.
Yeah, that's KB homes, K8 and 15th
This is the
Street.
approval of Granite Construction.
Okay, well, I can't talk about the area there. I mean, you guys change the areas and the thing all the time. The businesses move from one place to the other,
Okay, you should restrict your comments in regards to CC7.
That is CC7, right? I live over there right now. I'm not living in the desert anymore. I'm living in that area. And there's a lot of problems over there, too, with gas problems, gas leak problems. I mean, we have burning eyes all the time. There's a lot of problems in that area. And whether it's saying the improvements of roads, the improvements of the sewer system, the improvements of the water and all that, well, the place has all been contaminated. And all the areas that the KB homes are built on, there's a lot of problems with. And people are having to pay out of their taxes and their own to have all that stuff cleaned up. And I have a real issue with that. I have a real issue with also the Carita homes that were the developers from that. They have a lot of the wellness homes. They're all church-affiliated, Catholic church-affiliated as well. And it's just another business and another business and another business, that people don't even know. They don't even know that they're paying for all these things that are a problem and that, we're having to pay for it to have cleaned up. And so they keep building all these homes when they had the worst warranty. They wouldn't even honor their warranties. I know a lot of people that lost their homes and couldn't even live in them. They had cracks all inside of them. They had, a lot of problems with leakage inside. They had problems with breathing problems. They had So I don't know why we keep building these homes. And there's a lot of them empty all over too. So, and they're building more out on the east side, more on, I mean, I don't know if it's under the PACE program or what, for medical homes or whatever, but.
Thank you, Maria. Michael Reeves.
Vice Mayor Chris, City Council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I'm up here tonight to speak about some of the road work we've had done in our city.
Michael,
And
this
I
is
don't know if
specifically
this-
K8. This is K8.
Yeah, I don't know, Vice Mayor Chris, if it extends down to 20th Street West to J8. If it does,
The K8 bikeway.
well, I'm talking about the paving all the way up to K8 from J8 to 20th Street West. Am I allowed to make comments on the job that's being done on the?
Sure, I understand that it's campaign mode for everybody, but just don't get too far outside the spectrum of what we're talking about.
Vice Mayor Chris, you've said that to me about 3 or 4 times now. This is not a campaign speech. This is a concern about 20th Street West between K8 and J8. If you've driven down there and tried to stop at the post office.
Okay, Michael, this is not about the pavement. This is about the bike path. This is not about
This is about the bike paths that have been installed on 20th Street West that obstruct people when they're trying to stop at the post office, or if they're going south and they're trying to get into Albertsons. If you've noticed the bike lanes, they confuse the people. They take up a big portion of the street. Go out there tomorrow and try to stop at the post office going north on 20th Street West, and go make a U-turn and go up to Albertsons, and you can see that these bike paths are obstructing people from making the turns. You have to make almost a complete stop to make the turn. Somebody wasn't thinking about all these lines on the street. It is definitely a traffic hazard.
Fran, tell us something nice.
Thank you. Sure. Vice Mayor Chris, council members, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Fran Sarasaris. I think, too, I was a little confused on CC6 and CC7. I didn't realize it was just pertaining to the bike lanes. But when
CC6 is fine.
Huh?
CC6 is fine.
But I thought when I saw improvements, pavement improvements, I was going to bring up the fact that it might not even pertain to this now that I see it, but the streets that already been paved over with their black paint, that's what I call it, because the holes are not filled up the way they should be. Are they going to redo them again? That's question number one. Number two, these bike lanes that you're putting in, paths and so forth, is there going to be any consideration for or sidewalks widening for power chairs or for any of us that need to, are we going to be taken into consideration in any way?
You're always taken into consideration.
I know, thank you. But I thought I'd just bring it up. I know, just food for thought, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Fran. Okay, I need a motion and second for the consent calendar as currently comprised.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Let's vote. Motion carries 4-0. PH1, I have no speaker cards.
Need to open the public hearing.
Do we need to open the public hearing?
Yes, we do, and we need to open, announce there are no speaker cards, make sure no one wants to speak.
Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. There are no speaker cards. You want to waive the presentation?
Fine with me. Wave on the, you want to close the, wish to
You
waive-
can waive the staff report, and if that is your pleasure, it would then be appropriate to close the public hearing. So
Okay.
seeing as we have
We're
no
going to
public
waive the
comment.
staff report. We have no speaker cards on it. We're going to close the public hearing. I need a motion and a second.
I'll motion.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Let's vote. Resolution 1603 passes 4-0. JNB 1. Again, I have no speaker cards. Do you want one?
No, I don't need one. I was just curious if.
Do you
there
want to
was-
move it forward?
I don't need, we can waive the presentation. I'm fine with
We're
that.
good with that.
Okay, we're going to waive the presentation. I need a motion and a second.
I move the motion.
I'll second.
Can we do all of those at one time,
Yeah,
Allison?
can we take all four of those concurrently, Allison?
Yes, they're on the same topic. It is appropriate for a single motion.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt Resolution 1604-1605, SA03-16, and SA04-16.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second, so let's vote. Carries 4-0. NB1. Jason.
Vice Mayor Chris, City Council, this budget year, your council appropriated approximately $10.5 million for road repairs and maintenance. As part of this expenditure program, you also directed city staff to focus on outreach and make sure that the community is aware of the projects we're doing. I think what's important to understand is the magnitude of the change that we're doing. We're going to be doing a significant amount of roads in the next 10 years. So it's important that we not only tell the story about the importance of the road maintenance, but also how we're going to be doing that. Although we have begun some of the work already, you've seen that on the streets. Today is the day we're going to start launching Revive 25, which is not only a goal-setting mechanism, but also a branding of our street program. Today I'm going to introduce Luis Garibay, who we've done some reorganization internally, put one of our best on one of our most important projects. So Luis is going to be taking care of our pavement management program from cradle to grave. So any project that has to do with road maintenance and paving, Luis will be managing and handling, as well as the public outreach and public education. So with that, I'll turn it over to Luis to tell you about Revive 25 and what we plan on doing.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. About 3 years ago, I sat down with Mark, and he asked me to try to revive Destination Lancaster. So I was obviously very excited about the opportunity. One of my first questions to Mark was, well, so what kind of budget am I going to have to work with? At which point, Mark simply smiled and said, what budget? And I think it was at that point that I realized that this was going to be a challenge. But we moved forward. I started working with the local hotels to create a revenue source, started building partnerships with different organizations throughout the region, and then found creative ways to not only promote the area, but also to promote all of our special events, ultimately helping build up Destination Lancaster to become the organization that it is today. Now, about 4 months ago, I sat down with Mark and Jason, and they challenged me to do the same thing with the new Revive 25 program, to not only help promote the program to our residents, but also to create a plan to ensure that the council's goal to treat every road in the city of Lancaster by 2025 could be done.
And the council did provide him with a budget, so no more jokes.
Now, I knew this was obviously going to be a much bigger challenge, because it's a lot easier to get people excited about this than it is this. Because let's be honest, when most people think about road maintenance and road construction projects, it's a topic that's generally pretty boring and can be oftentimes complex. But I feel confident that we can help change some of those perceptions, because we assembled a great team comprised of our capital division, maintenance services, and some very creative people here at the City of Lancaster. And together we developed a plan which we believe will help residents understand Revive 25, but then also hopefully get them just a little bit more excited about our roads. So as I go through the presentation, please keep in mind that we're still going to be doing the things that we normally do. We'll be having the community presentations, the press releases, press conferences, and all those things. So for tonight, though, we'll be focusing primarily on the more unique aspects of the program and show how we plan to promote, educate, and perform unlike any other city in the nation. For example, when most people think of when projects happen in residential areas, these are the types of notices that residents can expect to see. You know, as you can see, they're plain. They either have too much or too little information, and they'll generally probably just end up in the trash can. We decided to take a much different approach and create a door hanger that was a little bit more warm and inviting, that provided a snapshot of Revive 25 and let people find more information about the program. Now, for projects that are happening along more major corridors, we're also creating a flyer that we'll be distributing to businesses and schools in those areas so that they get plenty of advance notice about the projects that are coming to their area. Now, we've actually even taken it a step further, and we'll be providing maps for them to show them alternative routes that people can take in those areas to potentially avoid any construction-related traffic. These are typical signs that one would see with the Revive, with any kind of road project throughout. As you can see, nothing very exciting, and to be honest, it's really a misbranding opportunity. We decided to take a different approach. Who better to help us promote our projects than the guys that are actually out there on the roads treating our streets? So we decided to incorporate them as part of the campaign. So as projects take place, you'll be seeing more branded signs, uniforms, and equipment at project sites throughout the city. Now, our new Revive 25 website will make it easy for residents to find out more information about the program, projects, and a lot more. Now, when you go to other cities' websites, these are the type of static maps that you might tend to see about a road project that's coming online. Now, our website is going to create an easy-to-use, interactive map that, with a simple click, will give anybody who's visiting the website information about the project, when the anticipated construction start and end date is, the number of lane miles that we've done, and a lot more information. Now, we're also going to be using these maps to help share information about road closures, signal outages, and other important information that drivers may want to know about in real time. We also wanted to take a look and do something different with our videos. And with the help of Juan, who works in our communications department, and Katie, who used to work in our communications department, I think we were accomplished that. So let's take a quick look at our first video.
Road construction and maintenance can be costly, inconvenient, and disruptive. But here in the city of Lancaster, we're on a mission to change all that. The Revive 25 program is our new philosophy towards street maintenance. It's a plan to maximize the life of all our roads by investing more in preventing road issues before they occur. That way, we can postpone or completely avoid much more expensive treatment down the line. We have nearly 1,700 miles of roads in Lancaster. That's the distance from Los Angeles to Chicago. Complete reconstruction of all those miles would come with a big price tag and would be a big headache for you. Our new proactive approach is going to cut that price tag by more than half, while still making your streets as strong as they can be. Some roads will need to be rebuilt, and we're going to take care of that. But this new plan will enable us to use preventative measures to maintain the good roads, so that they may never need to be rebuilt. Less major road construction means less time per project. And that means more roads being treated, more durable results, more savings, and more convenience. We've got a long journey ahead of us, and there may be some bumps, but while you give us your patience and support, we'll be paving the way to making your driving experience as pleasant as possible. Follow the Revive 25 journey at abetterroadahead.com.
So that was the first of a series of videos that we'll be putting together over the next few months that will help us promote and educate our residents about what Revive 25 is all about. Now, early on in the discussion process, we realized that we have to do a much better job of educating our residents about Revive 25 and finding simple ways, or finding ways to simplify complex issues or complex aspects of the program so that everyone can understand. So we started by creating an infographic, which all of you should have in front of you. This has everything that you need to know about the Revive 25 program. So if this was the only piece of information that someone came across, they would be able to walk away with a much better understanding of what Revive 25 is, what we're doing, and why. We're also creating a series of social media graphics like this one here that's going to break down a single topic and make it more visually appealing and easy to understand. Finally, in order for this program to be successful, we simply have to perform and eliminate any obstacles that may prevent us from accomplishing that task. One of the biggest challenges for projects of this magnitude is usually the lack of funding. Now, our council should really be commended, because it would have been easy for you to sit back and do what other cities in the state of California is doing at this time now and say, if we don't pass another sales tax increase, we simply can't fund road projects. Instead, this council decided to allocate more than $105 million over the next 10 years to ensure that we protect and strengthen all of our roads. Now, one of the first steps that we're going to take to ensure that we perform and we perform on schedule will be reallocating existing capital improvement funds to hire 3 new maintenance positions. Their primary responsibility will be implementing the Revive 25 program and include the operation of our traction steel plant. Second, we'll be working on finalizing a plan that will allow us to identify future road projects 5 years and out and more. Now, this is very important because it will allow us to not only know which roads we're going to be treating and when, but we can identify which ones we can do in-house, which ones we can contract out with private contractors, and it will allow us to more aggressively go after grant funding that's available so that we can treat more roads. Last, we're finding ways to streamline the current pre-construction design and planning process. And within the next 60 days, staff will be bringing back a proposal to council that will allow all of the pre-construction work to be completed at a much faster rate, giving us more shovel-ready projects and enabling us to start and complete more road projects each year. Now, as you know, one of the main reasons the city is investing so much time and energy in these type of long-term plans is because as our city grows, it will become more and more expensive to build and maintain over time. And it won't be easy because we'll be forced to make a lot of tough decisions. But sometimes we make sacrifices and sometimes do things that we may not want to do, knowing that it's probably going to be a good investment down the road. Now, this is just a glimpse. This is just a glimpse of some of the things that we'll be doing to help change the perceptions and help our constituents understand what we're doing as part of the Revive 25 program, and to show that we're serious about making sure that we treat every road in the city of Lancaster by 2025. Now, over the next few months, you'll be seeing different components come out, so I invite you and the rest of the community to take part and follow the Revive 25 journey at abetterroadahead.com. So with that, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or flip it over to Jason. Thank you.
Actually, I do have a question or a statement first. I like the fact that you've taken a strategy and you've tactically planned out what you're going to do. However, my first question would be, how will you determine which roads are a priority?
That's the whole philosophy behind the Revive 25 plan is to invest more in preventive maintenance. So what we're going to be looking at are what are the roads where we can invest a little bit of money to make sure that they last, that we strengthen them and that they last for a longer period of time. That's one of the things we're going to be taking into account. The second parts are we're looking at what the development, what future development looks like. We're looking at where residential tracts are being planned out, commercial development, and seeing where we can leverage where roads are already going to be worked on, and for a little bit more money we can add on to it and do bigger projects to cover longer periods of time. So we haven't finalized that plan just yet, but part of this next phase is laying out what we're thinking makes sense and making sure that that's the direction that the council wants to take.
So then you would, take each road and then kind of lay out a plan on your first, second, and third priority? Is that how you would do it? Or
Ultimately, the goal is where we'll be able to lay out where we can say we're going to be doing these streets next year, these streets in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we'll have a systematic plan laid out so that anybody can know that your neighborhood's going to be hit and it's going to be hit on this day. And again, there's a lot of factors that go into that, and that's part of, obviously, the challenge in trying to come up with a plan to make sense that covers every street in the city.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Will this be able to answer Fran's question about the black paint?
I'll defer that one to Mark.
That Fran actually has a good question.
Yeah.
The quality of the work on all of it will be paramount here, and the job she turns in was not of the best quality, and it will be much better in the future.
Yeah.
That was a first effort, and we've learned some things on that, and it won't happen again.
Can you go through the process so everyone at home can understand the process that they wanted to use their own pump, they wanted to use it, can you go through that a little bit, and can you talk about how sealing the cracks, and that's what we're attempting to do so they don't form the potholes? And I see in your brochure that you cover all that stuff, so, but those are the questions that most of us are getting.
Yeah. So if I may, because this might segue in, I think the biggest concern is, and I appreciate the flyer, but how do we get some of the people's preconceived ideas? Because not all roads are going to get a complete, some of them may get an overlay. There's different, probably, my knowledge, probably 3 or 4 different ways to treat a pavement process, whether you're either taking it clear down to the bed and recompacting it and putting 4 inches of asphalt or whatever. I think there's historically have been a lot of misconceived ideas because, we do work and we're looking at the different processes to approach the pavement here in Lancaster. And I think most of the citizens have this idea that from back in the day where we just tore the entire roadbed up and essentially relayed asphalt down. So I think that's where a lot of the confusion is.
And that's a big part of the education component of this plan, is really going out there and simplifying these complex topics. Because again, it's not as simple as, hey, let's just rebuild every road. I think everybody would love that, but as the video showed, it would literally cost the city more than $500 million to do that. And it's just simply not a sustainable way to doing it. The great thing about what we're doing, though, is that we're evaluating streets road by road to make sure that we can provide the treatment that's needed, do the necessary prep work to make sure that anything that we do lasts a longer period of time, and then evaluating them that way. So again, it's going to be part of a process. Again, 4 months ago I didn't know anything about a road. Now I know a little bit of something. So I think that's kind of the same process that we're going to have to go through with residents. And of course, I'm going to make myself available and any of our staff to sit down and answer any specific questions about specific streets when we're going to get to it. And at the end of the day, we understand that not everybody may agree with the philosophy, but at least to understand the reasoning behind why we made the decisions the way we did. And I think, if anything, that'll be helpful to residents.
And I'd like to address the Vice Mayor's question directly. There's multiple treatments for roads. One of the treatments, I think, what the Vice Mayor is talking about is traction seal, which the City of Lancaster, through the efforts of primarily Vice Mayor, was able to get an exclusive license to produce and sell to other cities and also use on our own roads. Through a grant from city funds and a grant from the AVA-QMD, the city now owns a plant that produces traction seal. And the simple traction seal, it's a much better product. It lasts longer. It has better properties in terms of filling grants. It keeps its color longer. It's just a much better and tighter product. We can now produce it, and it works on some streets. It's the proper treatment, and as Ken said, on some streets it may not be the proper treatment. We have now recently taken over the plant. It's fully operated by the city, and we will integrate it starting in the spring on our streets that it makes sense. In terms of the application, we had a contractor apply it as a experiment in one manner on 20th Street West, where Fran is telling us. And what we learned there is a couple of things. It could not be applied by just a squeegee without proper training on that. If you go out on Avenue G, I believe it is, where it's been applied by a spray application, you'll see a much better application. So part of it is learning. Whenever you experiment with something and try something, you're going to learn. And I'm really looking forward to it. We have lots of cities coming in and seeing the application. We take them out to Avenue G, and you're going to see a lot, thanks to the money you guys have put, a lot of activity starting this spring. And it's high time, so thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Jason, you have anything more?
No, sir.
So all we're going to do is receive and file this?
Yes.
Okay. I need a motion to receive and file.
I'll make that motion.
Second that.
We have a motion to receive and file. Let's vote. Motion passes 4-0. NB2. Allison?
The last council meeting, the council requested that I look into and bring back a ordinance to address the question of terrorists being buried within city limits. And before you tonight is ordinance number 1011, amending Title 8 of the Municipal Code to exercise the city's authority under Section 8115 of the Health and Safety Code to impose reasonably necessary standards governing the burial, entombment, and maintenance for cemeteries, including mausoleums and columbariums, to protect public health and safety, assure decent and respectful treatment of human remains, and prevent offensive deterioration of cemetery grounds, structures, and places of interment. This ordinance would require a private or public cemetery to exercise reasonable diligence to determine whether a person to be buried or entombed there is a terrorist, and if so, to go through certain processes with the Sheriff's Department and the City Manager to ensure that the public health, safety, and welfare are protected prior to the permission of such burial or entombment. Are there any questions?
I'm going to have some later, but I'm going to listen to the speakers first. Anyone have questions? We can ask her later.
Thanks.
Maria?
Well, first I'm going to say that, to put it like that, if you're labeled a terrorist here in this town, you will be buried, and they will take everything you have. I know I was labeled one because I went into a place and tried to get my daughter out of an area from people that we were being totally harassed by continuously. They were the terrorists. Police were terrorists. I mean, they were the terrorists, okay? And they labeled me that because I threatened them saying, stay away from my daughter, right? Okay, so I would like to say a challenge because of this, the thing with San Bernardino. And I would like to ask people, does anybody ever think about or look at the reasons why they say all these mass shootings? Maybe there's a reason on the other side of the people that were being shot. Maybe there's a reason for that. I mean, does anybody look at what was going on exactly with those people, the regulators or whatever for the social services departments in that building?
You're certainly not trying to justify the shootings in San Bernardino, are you?
What I'm saying is people seem to justify the things that are going on here with our children, and that a lot of these places can separate families and take your children away. They can do horrible, deplorable things to them. Sex trafficking and human trafficking is a huge problem. In this town, it's a huge problem. And the San Bernardino, what specifically things that happened there, is being done here now. The model for San Bernardino is happening here. I know I had a lawsuit with San Bernardino some 20 years ago, and it was for the taking and seizure of property by the police, which is a huge, huge problem was over there. They were seizing everybody's vehicles and property and things like that. All of my grandparents, stuff that I had from my family for a long time. And they wouldn't give any of that back. They were storing all the stuff in warehouses, and it was being paid to the police were getting to have all that stuff for themselves and do whatever they wanted to do with it. Also, as far as the things that, through the police department, for people to come in for, for mechanical type workshops. Yeah, those were done specifically to target vehicles, to target planes, to teach them how to do things like that. That's another model that's being done here. People, so many vehicles that just veer off the road and hit trees. Well, that's a whole thing that's being done, and how your car takes off with you and things like that. That was on a model from San Bernardino too, and I'm sure other places. It went to New York. It went to a lot of places. I had a lot of paper till it was all stolen from me, and on a lot of that. I just think that we need to look. Oh boy, a lot of these important issues.
I appreciate it.
You would think that you'd want to hear more.
Michael Reeves.
Vice Mayor, Council, staff, ladies and gentlemen, I think that this proposed ordinance is definitely wrong and paints a target on the city. I pulled up the FBI website, and it lists many plots that we never heard of by lone wolves. These are individuals that go out and shoot up places. In the FBI website, there's cities all over the United States that we've never heard of. There were plots by terrorists. I don't want to expose this city to a potential plot by alienating a certain class of people. Instead, I want us to be proactive. We have vented our frustrations about the alleged masterminds of the San Bernardino shootings. But it's time to do something positive.
Michael,
Today
help
me
out. Help me out real quick. What do you mean alleged?
They were not tried and convicted in a court of law. At any rate, the day at the Board of Trade, we had a great presentation by the Sheriff's Department and Community Relations sergeants from Palmdale and Lancaster about active shooters. They showed videos and they presented ways that we could save ourselves if we were ever in a situation like that. I proposed that we defeat this ordinance and we do something positive, that we have workshops in this town on what to do if you encounter that. Every time I come in this building or go to the library or any building, I look around for the exits, I look around for what am I going to do if these people come. These workshops would be fantastic. And there's one for cities, I'm going to give this to the city manager, that's coming up at Antelope Valley College for cities. We need to be proactive and protect our citizens and not paint a bullseye on this city and invite people to retaliate because allegedly these people did this and they belong to some faith and we're going to deny them burial. Let's be proactive and protect our citizens and offer workshops on what to do if we encounter these alleged terrorists. Thank you.
David Paul. Say something nice, David.
Vice Mayor and Council, good evening. I let you know that in my closing comments and public comments, I'm going to talk about a new class I'm taking about happiness and mainly focusing on love. So look forward to that.
You're going to have beads on and all that stuff?
If you'd like. Basically, our new ordinance. I just, something came to mind recently. Vice Mayor, you mentioned this is an election season, and I have a new website, davidpaulformayor.com. And one of the interesting things about that is it shows.
That was good.
This is pertinent. It shows the hits that I get from all over the world. And for some reason, 5% of the people who are looking at my website, I have 500 hits in 2 weeks, are from Beijing, China. And the world is watching. That's what I want to say tonight. The world is watching. And we don't really need this ordinance. That's what I tried to say before. We need to find love and compassion and forgiveness and let these people rest in peace and let God sort it out. That's what I vote for. But putting into a non-enforceable ordinance that has nothing to do with us, these people aren't buried in our city, and I don't think Lancaster Cemetery District is going to admit terrorists. And then terrorist has not been defined. Is that a radical Muslim terrorist we're talking about, or is it the drug cartels from the South that come up and probably make ISIS look like choir boys the way they kill people? These are terrible, terrible people. So I think we need to just veer away from all this. We can win with love. That's what I want to say. I suggest we don't do this. The world is watching. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay. Comments, questions?
Allison, maybe I misinterpreted the direction here as far as the ordinance, but to help everybody here maybe calm their thoughts, why don't you put it in layman's terms, what you read to us earlier about the steps that this ordinance actually does? I think that might be helpful. Unless I read something else into it on my own interpretation.
I don't believe you did, Councilmember Mann. I would like to address one issue, and that is that this ordinance has nothing to do with faith. This ordinance has to do with those who have been identified by the Federal Bureau of Investigation as terrorists under Section 2331 of Title 18 of the United States Code. It has nothing to do with faith, religion, race, any of those protected classes. This is an ordinance that would prohibit the burial within the city limits of a person determined by the Federal Bureau of Investigations as participating or engaging in any act of international terrorism or domestic terrorism, as defined in the code, without first going through a process to ensure through the city manager and the sheriff's department that public safety and welfare is protected. So if that could mean a lot of different things, and could mean imposing conditions to ensure that the public safety and welfare is protected. For example, if it could be as simple as an unmarked location, so that it couldn't become a mecca or a drawing of people to it, either people who want to object to that person's behavior or to worship that person's behavior. Either way, it doesn't become a lightning rod or a gathering place for that kind of behavior. Cemeteries should be sacred, respected places, not places where people gather to either abhor or elevate people who engage in terrorism.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I do. Anywhere in the ordinance say Muslim?
No, absolutely not. The word is not there.
Any religion?
None. No religion. No race either.
When Timothy McVeigh did his thing, didn't the federal government pass an ordinance that he couldn't be buried in a federal cemetery?
Yes. After Timothy McVeigh was convicted, special legislation was passed through the House and Senate and signed into law, prohibiting the burial of terrorists in Arlington National Cemetery or any other federal cemetery. That is one of the bases to which I looked in preparing this ordinance for you tonight, was that federal statute.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and they might seem funny, but they're not meant to be funny.
Okay.
Looking at the letters to the editor, looking and talking, and seeing what people's comments were throughout Facebook and that, I looked at some of the individuals in it. By looking at that, I found this, that the FBI chart documents portray CARE as a Hamas-related organization, which is in it. It says an FBI chart surfaced depicting connections between the Council of American Islamic Relations and the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. Would that be considered a terrorist group?
It might be considered a terrorist group, but it would not fall within our ordinance. Our ordinance means a person who has been identified by the Federal Bureau of Investigation as participating or engaging in an act of international terrorism or domestic terrorism. So no.
What if a person belonged to that organization?
No, that would not meet the definition in our code.
So we're
If this were adopted.
We're being as specific as possible
Absolutely.
on it, and we're not targeting. And I did speak with, that's all the questions I have for you.
Okay.
Thank you. I did speak with some people from the cemetery district, and they said this ordinance would make it a lot easier on them if this was to happen, because it would affect property values in the city of Lancaster. And to answer, some of the speakers' comments, we're going to be proactive on some of these issues, and we're not going to be governed by fear, because that's not our job, is to be afraid of everybody and to be afraid. We have to work with everybody, and we will work with everybody, but we're not going to be governed by fear. At least I'm not. So when you look at this, what we're trying to do is we've always been associated with a dumping ground. And the dumping ground, in my opinion, and I'll give you an example of the pillowcase rapist. When the pillowcase rapist came, nobody wanted them in their backyard. Nobody wanted to be that, because it would affect the property values and that. So if we become proactive, and these two people that were buried in Roseman were passed over by 7 other cemeteries to be buried in Roseman. So they were passed over by I want to give at least our cemetery district the ability to pass them over if we don't want terrorists buried here. I think the definitions are fine. I don't think it's real broad. I think it's, distinctive enough that we're not going to say this individual might be a terrorist because they got thrown out of their house. So I would support this. I need a motion and a second. Any other comments?
No, I have none.
No comments.
Allison did a good job of explaining it, so I appreciate that. So with that, I'll move that we introduce ordinance number 1011.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second to introduce ordinance 1001. Let's vote. Passes 4-0. Council reports.
Mr. Christ, I've got a short one. We met last week and had our regular monthly meeting for the sanitation district. Heard a short, brief presentation on the adjudication and how that affects the sanitation district. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to move a little more aggressively and have a little bit better handle on the water rights that are created out of that facility just north of us. So we had some brief conversation about that, and then we just made our normal went through the normal budget process and paid bills, and with that there was kind of boring. Other than that,
Did you get us any money?
no, but that's what we got opened the discussion up about future rights to that water that is coming off that facility, and I think my belief is the taxpayers paying for it, so hopefully movement is in the right direction for us to be able to
Are we going to get some of that tertiary water?
So that's the goal.
Okay. Raj.
Yes, sir. I have a little bit update on Medical Main Street that I met with Mark and Jason last week. And we have, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we are planning to meet with the hospital leadership, talk about budget, development plans, and etc. And also, we are working on to decide for consultant who we're going to hire. And so pretty much that's about it for as for Medical Main Street. Thank you.
Angela?
Yes, last week we went to Justice Sunday, which was honoring our Captain Nelson in recognition of justice at work in our community. It was an awesome event, and it was Bishop Hearns was led by him. And this past week, you and I went to a meeting for North County Transportation Coalition meeting. And my takeaway with that from that particular meeting is that, to a certain degree, we have still been forgotten about as far as trying to get funds coming our way. And that group is going to be going back and sitting down and coming back with a new plan for us in the city of Lancaster and the 4 jurisdictions, which are Los Angeles, which is LA County, Santa Clarita, Palmdale, and Lancaster.
Great. I did go to the AVA QMD. Everything's going good there. We did several grants, and we're cleaning the air up. We did meet with the ARB board, which had to do, they wanted to see what we were doing over at AVTA because it's unheard of, and everybody else is telling the world that they cannot go all electric like AVTA has done. We met with the fair. Everything looks good for this year's fair. We have the fair president sitting in the back of the audience right now. AVTA, we did look at the ladies' situation that last week was talked about. They talked about it, how they would handle it in the future, and she was here earlier, I will guarantee that that won't happen again. And it was supposed to be a misunderstanding, whether by the driver or the passenger. But in the future, if that happens again and a individual is stranded on the outside, the supervisor will be called, and the supervisor will go out there and make sure that their persons are taken care of. And so that's good. It sat in the water adjudication meeting. It's good. It's they're trying to get their feet underneath them. They're trying to elect different officials. There's 5 different boards that have to elect officials of 5 different classes inside the water adjudication. And so it was good there. The homeless, shelter on 60th and I is open. We did get to see it. It's housing about 50 to 60 individuals a day. Mr. Bozigan and myself went out there and looked at it, and they're doing a great job out there, and they're looking to see how they can maintain it on a year-round basis. So that's a plus. We should start seeing some of the homeless taken out and taken care of out there. And the last thing is we did go to MLK Day and Martin Luther King Day. We found out that Mr. Mann is quite a painter, and Angela painted all her outfits. So
I think she had more paint on herself than she had on the wood in the gate.
There was that complaint.
Did you
notice that? There was that complaint. Yeah. But we were over at the Children's Center, and we were working over there, and we went to the city gardens, and there was a lot of different functions going on throughout the city. And that's when we were able to see all these prints that were displayed at the city garden. So it was good. If you have an opportunity, you people in the audience, to get up and go look at those prints, they're very nice, and it was great of everybody to bring them here. Mr. Vos, do you have anything from Planning Commission?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Last evening, we held a public hearing on the prohibition of medical marijuana dispensaries, as well as cultivation and delivery of the marijuana in the community. It's also been heard by criminal justice. We voted 6-0 to recommend to you, the City Council, adoption, which I'm assuming will be on your next agenda.
Thank you.
We also considered a number of tract maps, one of which that may be appealed and you may hear about.
Well, good. You guys do a great job. Lisa.
Hi. We also talked about the marijuana, and we made our recommendations to council. So we're working on that, or we did that. And again, just working with the city and public safety and making our city a safer place.
I think the vote was 6-0 to recommend the ordinance go forward to City Council.
Yes.
Okay, City Manager.
3 announcements, and then we have a video on MLK Day at the end. First announcement, personally, I apologize. I'd like to wish my mom and dad a happy anniversary. Today is their anniversary. Hopefully they're doing something fun and not watching the council meeting, but we'll see. Second announcement, a while back, Jason and I challenged Rhonda and Mike Rosa and Judy Kerp over at LPAC to increase ticket sales, to look at how we're booking and all that, and I'm happy to report they've done a phenomenal job. We try to usually cover all of our direct expenses with revenues from ticket sales, get 100%. Last couple of years, I think we've barely broken 70, and barely about a third way into the season, they've already reached their goal of 100% covering all the costs with ticket sales. So I think that deserves a round of applause. The Jethawks and the city will be partnering this year. It's the 20th anniversary of the Jethawks in Lancaster, and we'll have 20th anniversary Mondays, each Monday, through a partnership between the city and Jethawks. They will roll prices back to 1996 prices for tickets and food and such, so that's going to be great. They're going to give T-shirts out on select Mondays honoring some Jethawks of the past, like Dallas Keuchel and Brandon Webb, who both won Cy Young. And they're going to have other giveaways, and it's going to be a really good year to celebrate the Jethawks in Lancaster. And for those that haven't been out there over the last year under the new ownership, it is an absolutely great experience, and we hope people go out again this year. The attendance was way up last year, and it'll continue to go up. The last thing is, I think Luke has done an absolutely wonderful job on this video. It's a video of MLK Day. I think what comes through, and I sincerely thank the council members, because this council not only comes out, but they actually work and enjoy working, and I think it really comes out. We did learn about Ken. Not only does he like painting, he likes telling everyone else how to paint, how they should paint, what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right, how it used to be done when he painted, and so we can roll the video now.
Good morning. My name is Vanessa Macias.
And I'm Katie May.
And we are here with 2016 Martin Luther King Day,
where we have hundreds of volunteers. Let's go check it out.
What is the purpose of this Martin Luther King Day service?
Well, it's a day of service for the city of Lancaster. It's when everyone gets together and they give back to the community. We have thousands of people out today. It's going to do thousands of hours. It's going to be very good for the city of Lancaster and for the entire community.
Today we're here at Pierre Bain Park, and we're helping to paint the fences. This has been so much fun. You know, we're meeting the little kids out here painting and having a blast out here with their parents. I met a 6-year-old little boy out here today, and he was helping paint. And he says, "This is such a blast. I could paint all day." That so far, that's been the highlight. Just kind of seeing the little kids out here too. It's kind of cool, and then of course having my daughter by my side. This is awesome.
Where are we and what are we doing here today?
So we're over at the Children's Center, and as you can see, we're completely refurbishing the patio out here. And you can see we got plenty of help, that's for sure today. We're not short on volunteers, and that's a great thing, to get everybody to come out in the community and roll up their shirt sleeves and help out.
Awesome. And how is this beneficial for the people of our community?
Well, it's beneficial for everybody. Everybody can give. I mean, if you want to give to the community, you want to make the community better, this is a great day to do it. This is a time to step out and help the community.
Can you tell us a little bit about what Lancaster Jethawks are doing out here today?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to come out in support of, obviously, MLK Day and the city of Lancaster. They do so many great activities throughout the year, and this is one of the many. So we're very big on being involved in the community through our different initiatives, and obviously when there's opportunities to partner with the city of Lancaster or the MLK Day of Service, things like that fits in perfectly with what we try to do all year long.
What is the highlight for you today?
Well, I think that one of the greatest takeaways is the camaraderie, the sense of community of people coming out. I think that's one of the things that Martin Luther King stood for is, getting out and doing what you can. And you can see everybody here, although they may not be painters, they're painters today. And this is a great thing when everybody, takes the time, at least whether it's one day of the year or multiple days of the year, coming out and really rolling up their shirt sleeves. And you didn't get a chance to help this year, there's always next year. And I know it would always be appreciated, whatever the project is to get out and roll up your shirt sleeves and help us out and do your part.
You did when you were there. Okay.
That was because Mark was working underneath my direction and he wasn't listening.
Again, for the third year. City Clerk.
This is the time to address the City Council, agency, and authority on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. State law prohibits the City Council from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter may be referred to the City Manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason, I didn't see a speaker card. Yeah. See it. Okay, we'll find it. Jason.
Hello, Council. First of all, the City Hall sign on the Boulevard and Fern, it needs to be bigger. Instead of just City Hall, it should be City Hall with a bigger arrow. I always miss this street for some reason. Since the fairgrounds is here, my idea of the cowboy hats, to give those out during the fair and the rodeo at the 99-cent store, you can probably buy them for wholesale for 50 cents. Give them out to people before 5 o'clock. And $5 afterwards, and that money would go to the Grace Resources. I think it'd raise $100,000 for Grace Resources. So I'd like, since the fair's here. Also, Marvin, look on KCET and watch a show called Artbound. It's about Star Apartments and Skid Row Foundation. It's pretty interesting.
What was that again?
It's KCET, Artbound, Star Apartments, and Skid Row Foundation. Angela, the bank here, it'd be kind of cool, the roof there, if you put solar panels on it, because it looks kind of bad right now. Or put paint a B-2 bomber or something on it. Okay, the main reason I'm here is because my nephew broke his leg, and he's in foster care, and he's, the county's responsible for him. And we went to AV Hospital, and he waited there. They saw him. They x-rayed him. They gave him a prescription, and they said, you have to go get the cast over on Avenue I at the High Desert Medical Center. So he went over there, waited 4 hours. They did x-rayed the wrong part of the leg, x-rayed again, and then they said, oh, you have to go to downtown L.A., USC, to get a cast. Can you imagine that? I can't tell you how.
I had it done to me when I was growing up here. It was actually, we were playing football, broke my leg, went there, had to be transferred to L.A. So we should have a better organization system than that now.
Yeah. I mean, it's terrible. Antelope Valley Hospital District is letting us down, and the county is letting us down here. We are better than this. We're 420,000 people. That's why I'm so adamant about creating a community service district, because 420,000 people under one government, we'd still have the city of Lancaster, city of Palmdale, but we'd have this one voice. It'd be as big as Long Beach. We would get respect from the county. We'd take over the waterworks district, the sewer, everything. And right now, all our districts were made before in 1900. Little Rock Creek and Irrigation District, 1892. Why are we living like this? We are better than this, people. You know, we spent $150 million, I heard, on the Antelope Valley water, groundwater adjudication. 11 years, $150 million, and not one drop of water in our cups. That's not right. We only get $1 million, just 20 more seconds. We only get $1 million, and we pay out over $12 million in property taxes for the trauma tax. What's going on here? And that's been going on for 12 years. There isn't enough money to pay for a doctor, full-time doctor, to put a cast on my nephew. This isn't right.
Thank you.
Okay, last statement.
Jason,
we never
thank you.
run out of dreams in life.
Thank you.
But we run out of time. And that my dream is to form a community service district.
We have several districts out there that we work with, and they're called COGS. And we have it, we were at one, wasn't yesterday, it was Monday or Tuesday of last week.
What's a COG?
It's a COG, Council of Governments. So we work with Palmdale, Santa Clarita, and City of Lancaster. So we work on the transportation issues. So we do that stuff. So it's a great idea, and we're working to make them in other areas, just not in transportation.
I will put up $500 of my own money, $1,000. I'll give it to Fran to form a committee to look at a community service district for Antelope Valley, because I know that's what we need to do.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Maria.
Okay, I was jotting down a few things here that I'm going to try and address. Hopefully I'll have enough time and you'll give me a little extra time. As far as what he's talking about with the workshops, we should form these workshops. Have you guys seen that one, Flip This House, where, they go in for these workshops, and it was made from a guy, I guess he was a former police officer or something, and he teaches people how to go in and just, flip over people's houses, and take everything that's there, and that was a real interesting one. It's on every night. It's on some advertisement at night. You guys should check that out. It always talks about using other people's money and stuff like that, too. It's a big, thing. Okay. Does everybody know that we give licenses to predators here in this town? Everybody know that? That are allowed to have kids and do things with kids? They actually get licenses. I came across this when I was riding the buses and stuff over here when I was living out in the desert. And I was riding the buses, and over there, at the bus place over there, there's something going on over there, for sure. And people were dropping off their little kids there, little girls, little babies and stuff, and other guys were getting on the buses bragging about their licenses that they had gotten for, to be able to, this little girl and that little girl. That's something that I think, somebody needs to look at, because that's absolutely insane. And I'll talk to you about what happened at church over here, too. When I came in here that night and I got arrested. Well, this was after I came in here to try and tell you guys what was going on. When my truck was taken, that was after the merger with Public Safety and LASA came to merger or whatever, and they wanted the 2002 series. And I was out in the desert with my truck, and I had gone over to this church over here. And when I walked in, what they were doing over there is they were doing the thing where they were knocking people down, and they couldn't get up, ladies laying on the ground and going through these traumatic, little kids screaming and crying. And I tried to go in there and try to help them and try to get them up. And they told me I needed to get out of there, that I didn't see them, hit them in the knees, which, by the way, there's also a problem with that Morton Manufacturing, too. But anyway, so the church thing, yeah. That was, so they wanted me out of there, the area where I was staying over there next to there. And so when they came in, oh, please, let me finish. I would love to show you the pictures
you have 30
that
seconds.
I have of when my place got attacked and ransacked, and they came and stole all my stuff from there. And I was trying, I'm having phone calls from my daughter screaming and yelling on the phone, I could hear her crying, and I could hear this, the background, I know other people in that same neighborhood that were taken by people, kidnapped and taken down to LA and raped, and, it's all because if you don't comply and go along with, whatever that program is or whatever that they have going on, then, they're going to hurt you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
We are at
Kurt
war.
Boyer.
Good evening. Mr. Vice Mayor, council members. Two quick notes first, that came up during the course of my listening to everything that was being presented. The subject of terrorists, I take some classes at AV College, and not that long ago, at the end of the last semester, a young student called in a shooter threat only because he didn't have his paperwork done for his final, and they evacuated the entire college. It's a very gray area. I'm assuming that poor young man is going to spend about 25, 30 years in jail. AV Hospital, I have my own personal experience there in that I was taken in with severe abdominal pain. 2 in the morning, they released me, and I had not even seen a doctor. And I ended up down in Olive View, where it was found that I had severe walking pneumonia. They kept me there for 10 days to get rid of it. So AV Hospital, I hear a lot about them. And the reason I do is, as you know, I work with the addicted and the homeless and the mentally ill. And I'm sure you're aware that right now we're in the middle of a new census. We just recently finished children, of all things. This includes, as far as I know in my research, both children that are in shelters as well as foster children. The mention of the men going out now to the old high desert facility, that's wonderful. If they can get that together, it's going to house a whole lot more than 50 people. But on this census, it's been estimated, I talked to Steve at Grace and Judy at MHA and all my contacts, they're estimating it over a 30% increase from the census that was just done last year. This isn't going to stop, and it's unfortunate. If you're familiar with Skid Row, downtown Los Angeles, this is like a walk in the park out here in Lancaster. And unfortunately, down there, they're doing their best to ship them out to us. The mayor did a wonderful job when he went through the whole thing with Metrolink, with allowing the homeless to board the trains without tickets. That's been taken care of, but they're still coming. And our resources are limited. Within the next quarter, it's my intention, I put together a management team to set up a nonprofit. And we're going to try to deal with the idea of putting a hub, like you used the word cog, in the wheel, to be able to service everybody and find them the services they need. And I'd appreciate in the future if I could find out who would be best in the city to talk to about that advancement.
Okay, thank you, Kurt.
You're welcome.
Mark, you'll talk with him? Wally, you're up.
Good evening, City Council, Vice Mayor, staff, people of Lancaster. I have 2 items here that I want to comment on. I know of a little town that I've been to, and it's a neat little town. Something that maybe Lancaster should strive for. Maybe. And one thing I noticed about that town is that they have 3 stations. They have a station for the state cops, and they have a station for the county sheriffs, and they have a station for the city police. And I said, well, that's pretty neat because there's always some law enforcement officer somewhere. And when you see law enforcement, you see less riffraff, for lack of a better word. So I was impressed about this little town, and I'm not going to name this little town. And the other item, and I do, this is a somber meeting because of the terrorists killing all those people and stuff, speaking about those law enforcement agencies, and what comes to my mind is that the police in San Bernardino, they probably are partially to blame that they failed to detect this terrorist beforehand. That's my viewpoint there. And and the other item that I want to bring up is that the new city buses, they look big outside. You go inside and they're very little. You feel like you're in a coffin. I'm a little bit claustrophobic, I know. The windows are not clear. You know, they got the stuff on them on the outside. I don't know what it is, but they're not clear. You can't see outside. You could see, before you could see to the front of the bus, but now they got two black boxes, one on the right and one on the left. You can't even see where you're going. Please don't buy any more of these buses.
Thank you. V.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Can I speak real quick, because access is here for me. I only got
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Come on up, friend.
Who was taking the place of V? Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. I gotta speak really quick, because they won't wait.
Okay.
First of all, I wanted to bring about the ordinance. I sometimes can't, well, I can't go sometimes to the criminal justice meetings and the planning commission meetings, but I wanted to bring up the ordinance, which I believe I spoke to Mr. DeRoche, that on the amended chapter 1704 title that has to be done by March the 1st, so that the medical marijuana could be so that we can get the control over that and not the state. And I wish you could explain this to the people. I wish I had time, and I can't because I have to run.
Real quick, friend, the law is, the state of California has said, either you have a law or you're going to be governed by our law.
Right.
So that's real quick what it is.
Okay. I understand it, but I was going to explain that to the people. And also the planning commission, there's a piece of property next to the wild preserve, and if our our planning commission here, our city council can somehow figure out a way of preserving the property around the wild preserve, because what you do today will be here today, and you can't, and if you do away with that property around that preserve, it's going to be gone forever. And we should preserve it for the future. I have some other things, but I thank you very much, and I've got to run. Thank you again.
Thank you, friend. You make sure that she catches her bus. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Welcome.
I'm glad to hear the homeless center is open, finally. I don't know why the delay for it. And I wondered if you knew that our AV hospital is rated F in this country. I read the survey every year that comes out, and our AV hospital is rated F. I just thought I'd let you know. I don't know if there's anything we can do, but the federal government is looking at us. And about paving, I wondered why our senior citizen center, it was paved twice in 4 months. In the past 6 months, I noticed, why are they paving the parking lot twice in 4 months? I wondered if someone could answer that question for me. I thought it might be a waste of money.
That is a county facility that we have no jurisdiction on. So the senior, if they did it, it probably was done incorrectly. So the contractor had to come back and do it again. That would be a guess. But the other guess would be it's the county.
Alrighty. All right, that's all I had to say already. Thank you.
Thank you, V.
Yeah, bye-bye.
And V, on behalf of the AVTA, we apologize again for what took place a couple weeks ago as far as you being left out there. We did look at it, and there's some new rules and regulations at AVTA because of you came up and spoke with us, and, you know, I appreciate what you did.
Okay, thank you, because last year I fell off the ramp. They're not keeping the ramps maintained on the buses.
Okay.
I fell off of it last year and broke my toe. Thank goodness I'm strong.
Okay. Thanks
so
again.
I'm looking at them.
Okay. Thank
yeah,
you.
I appreciate your help. Yeah, I love those buses. Enables me to get around. Thank you.
Michael Reeves.
Vice Mayor Chris, council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. This is for Shirley, one of our citizens, senior citizens. She asked me, why can't we close the boulevard and make a mall out of it? And she reminded me of once when Mayor Paris said, well, I don't have any objection to it. So I thought, well, you know, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we should close the boulevard and make a mall out of it. I mean, we're pretty successful having our presentations on the boulevard, our events on the boulevard. Why not close it? And, you know, today at the Board of Trade meeting, they were talking about the Los Angeles County Air Show in March. You know, why couldn't we have a citywide affair on that? We have people at the airport. We could have something going on downtown. Even, you know, even better than that, we could make people park downtown and bus them from downtown out to the air show. Anything to generate money. I just think it's a terrible waste that we have these empty stores on the boulevard. We have a potential to make a mall out of it and get some of these businesses that seem to be going south to Palmdale. And it would be, in my opinion, a real draw. And also on the fair, you know, we ought to think about having something going on downtown when the air show's going on too. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Michael. Just to let everyone know that we've been doing the air show for 3 years. We've been having events on the boulevard prior to the air show for all that time. So it's a good idea, Michael. Thank you. George Beatty.
Vice Mayor, council members,
welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I commend you guys. You guys are doing a fantastic job hearing all these things and moving on them. I'm asking, my 2 cents on it is there anybody overseeing the contractors to make sure that they're going to be doing the jobs correctly? As you know or remember, I pointed out 2 factors of unsafe work on 25th East and 20th and J. And you open the door for lawsuits. And this gentleman over here, one of them, said, oh, no, you're not liable. Well, yes, you are. Talk to Mayor Ledford over in Palmdale and find out how much they had to pay Brian Vanderbilt on his lawsuit. He was awarded $6 million to him, which put it on up over $10 million, plus medical for life. And it was due to somebody not doing a job correctly on the street repair. And my point is, you got to have somebody in the city. It's just like the county. You said it was a county building problem, okay? Okay, but it's still in your city. Isn't there some way you could devise a safety inspection to oversee these people, to oversee the contractors, to oversee them, to make sure everything's followed through? I did 35 years at Lockheed Martin, and I was part of the safety committee over there. I mean, when I see these things with these contractors, it just blows me away. I just can't believe they claim they are, but they're not.
Okay. We'll look into it.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Even if it's a group of citizens, volunteers to go out and inspect these jobs.
Are you volunteering?
I'll volunteer.
Great.
No problem. You got my name, my number, my address.
I'm writing it down.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
David Paul. David, I saved you for last.
Mr. Vice Mayor and Council, good evening again. Yes, it's a joy to be here. It's a joy to be last. I want to first say what a wonderful meeting this has been. I was a little disappointed when I didn't see the mayor because I had some things to say. But other than that, the opening prayer was great. Revive 25. You know, that's one of the things I love about this city. We do things. We get them done. We find new ways to do things. This is really a great place to live, and I love living here. I wanted to tell you, I promised you about this class on happiness I'm reading, and they did this longitudinal study at Harvard. That's over a long period of time with graduates from the 1938, 1939, and 1940 class, and they followed them through over 60 years of their lives to record these things. And this is what they came away with, 5 things. Number 1, love is really all that matters in life. 2, it's about more than money and power. 3, regardless of how we begin life, we all become happier. Well, I've seen some people that didn't, but most of us adjust. Number 4, connection is critical, and they talk about civic affairs and how important it is to be involved where you live in your community and making your city a better place. And the 5th thing is challenges can make you happier. Now that's true. It gives me a reason to get up in the morning, and that makes me happy. But I don't really like conflict, and I don't like fighting. And so what I would do tonight is ask the council just to think about this, because I'm trying to get the cameras fixed. I've submitted a letter to the city manager, to the city attorney, and Joe Cabral, to ask if there is a policy on how the video of the meeting is shot. And if there isn't, let's get one. Because otherwise it's just capricious, and it really takes away from my enjoyment to know that the camera access is being limited. So that shouldn't happen, and I hope all of you would take that up and try and pass an ordinance that says that the cameras should be fair, or that we have the right to do whatever we want with them. You know, but there needs to be a policy. So in the meantime, thank you. I love my city. I want to make it a better place, and I want to contribute to my fullest, and I appreciate everything that everybody does. Welcome, sir. This is a great place to work. You're going to love it here.
Thank you, David. Any comments? Council comments? None? Do we have a closed session? Okay. We stand adjourned till February 9th at 5 o'clock. Drink.